beloved listeners, and welcome to Snake People at the Movies, film criticism by people who actually like film. Join us as we dive into movies we love, movies we respect, and movies we wish we could unsee. It's the podcast where we talk about growing up and living queer, nerdy, and depressed online and at the cinema. From the kids who still somehow have so much to say about the prequels, it's Sneople at the Movies. I'm Helena.
I'm Matty.
I'm not Ezra, I'm Madeline.
That's right, no Ezra this week because it's the High Holy Days, but instead we have our dear, dear friend Madeline joining us again.
Madeline.
Hello, thank you so much for having me. It's such a pleasure to be back.
It's always a pleasure to have you.
Oh, jinx.
Fuck you. Also, obviously we could not do a Star Wars episode without you. I think that's maybe a crime. Yeah.
Flattered.
Yeah. I think
beloved.
that we would actually be arrested for that. It's true.
Yeah. If only because we watched so much Star Wars together this summer.
We watched so much Star Wars together this summer. For the listeners, my younger sister was living with me for the summer, and she'd seen the numbered Star Wars movies all at least once. She'd seen Rogue One once. I don't think she'd seen Solo, but she knows that I and my dear friend Matty are giant Star Wars nerds, and for some reason agreed to undertake a summer of Star Wars with us, in which we watched the prequels, the original films, Clone Wars stuff. She and I watched Rebels. Let's see, we did Obi-Wan, the Kenobi show. We did Mando and Boba. We watched so much Star Wars, and it was great. She would just let us, Maddie joined for a lot of it, and Isabel, my sister, would let us just pause, especially during the prequels when there's so much happening in the background, every 3 seconds, and be like, okay, let's talk about what's happening with Mandalorian politics right now.
You were doing the version of Viggo Mortensen broke his toe here in 2 Towers, but
yes!
for the whole thing.
Literally everything, yeah.
100%, both with film stuff like that and the deep lore of the universe bullshit.
Yeah, the stupid Star Wars malarkey. Because there's so much goddamn Star Wars lore. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That interrogation droid is probably using skirtopanol.
Yeah, I didn't even bring up the stuff in New Hope about how, that guy that Luke is knocking out right now, he's fucking Tarkin. I didn't even talk about that!
Yeah!
What?
Oh, Helena! So, good news. In New Hope, the guy that Luke knocks out to steal his armor, there's a whole short story about him, and it is heavily implied that it is said that he is fucking a superior officer. And it is heavily implied to be Tarkin.
What?
Heavily implied to the point where it's basically canon, they just didn't say it outright.
That's
right.
Funny.
That's in the first From a Certain Point of View short stories collection. Yeah. Those are all really cool.
Yeah. So shout out to that guy. Bummer that he died in that movie, but whatever.
Yeah. Shout out to that book too, which I believe also is the one that includes a short story from the perspective of the Dianoga, the trash monster in the trash compactor.
Scream.
Yeah, I think it does. Yeah. I need to read that whole thing.
I haven't read all of them. I have that first one.
So anyway,
anyway,
was
Summer of
Izzy's whole
Star Wars. Yes. Shout out to Isabel for putting up with us.
My God.
She told me that she enjoyed it, so
this
that could have been a very polite lie.
No. I say putting up with us. She was so excited. She loved it so much. She had an absolute blast.
I know.
She wants to get on a Zoom call and watch more Clone Wars ups now that she's back in college.
Yeah. Our Padawan.
Thinking about what a summer of Star Trek.
That's our Padawan.
You couldn't do I was just thinking about what a summer of Star Trek would look like, and then I was immediately you couldn't do just a summer of Star Trek. That would take a long time.
Years.
You would have to be really. That would be all you would do.
Yeah,
and you wouldn't be able to get even through
You would need to quit your job, which is something.
Yeah, and I was gonna say you'd need to be independently wealthy.
The dream is to be independently wealthy and just watching Star Wars all day.
Star Trek or Star Wars all day. Either way.
Both.
Not
I think ideally.
Star Trek Into Darkness. Yeah. The whole thing would just be, you get to Star Trek Into Darkness, and instead of watching Star Trek Into Darkness, you just watch Wrath of Khan again.
Yeah.
So you get to watch Wrath of Khan twice. I think that would be fun.
You can watch, 3 scenes from Into Darkness, and they're all about bones.
Yeah, exactly. No, yeah. I know exactly what scene you're talking about. Just
you can watch the scene. Yeah. You can watch the scene where he's trying to defuse the bomb and Kirk thinks he's gonna die and calls him Leonard.
Yeah. Yep. And also you can
Mess
watch
me up.
the scene at the end where he's
Yes.
like, Kirk, you can't die. I won't let you die.
And he's crying and then sees the tribble and is like, holy shit, I've got this.
When Madeline just started talking about that scene, listeners, I shook my body so hard in rage that the air from my body moved my tape recorder, and it made my tape recorder fall
my god, incredible.
to its side. So there's a crash on my recording.
Incredible.
Yeah, a little tape recorder.
Oh, cute.
Oh, okay. I thought you were referring
Veronica
to your
Mars
mic
or
as your
something.
tape recording. I was like, what are you doing? What is your
It's like
setup?
one of those little,
Talking to the mic
handheld
situations.
yeah.
So I can record my thoughts about
it's
Star
like-
Trek
Yeah.
and other
Like
things.
if Veronica Mars were a Star Trek detective. A Star Trek-tive, if you will.
A Star Trek-tive, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. Just like that.
Anywho.
What have we seen?
What have we seen?
Yes.
Helena, I think you have seen the most. Do you want to go first?
Oh, sure. I watched They Live, finally, because, I don't know if I talked about this in the last episode, but I found that, reopened Kim's video in the basement of the Alamo Draft House, which has apparently been there since April, and I just, haven't gone. But they have a lot of really cool, DVDs and VHSs, and you can rent VHS players and DVD players even if you don't have one. And it's
that's
free.
dope.
You give them your card, and they say, if you incur any late fees, we'll charge you, and then you just take home the videos, and you watch them, and you bring them back in 5 days. It's perfect. And they have literally every single John Carpenter film. They have a section that's divided by director, and they were literally, I was like, oh, there's this one movie that's called, I think it's called Cigarette Burns. That's by John Carpenter, which is, pretty niche-ish, and I was like, well, they're not going to have that one. But no, they had that one. They have, literally every single one. So that's very exciting. And I plan on going back as soon as I can. It's just, not very convenient, so I can't go back all the time. Anyway, I rented They Live. Great time. Good time. Enjoyed it very much. I watched Troy. Because
I've
Leia
never actually seen that.
was like, you should watch it. It's a comfort movie, and I mentioned it to my roommates, and they also really wanted to watch it. So I watched it with my roommates while also texting Leia the entire time. It's pretty cool.
Incredible.
It's a fun movie. I enjoyed it. Orlando Bloom is definitely there. He's present. He's not good. It's fine. He looks very pretty. But
honestly, that's what matters most.
He's helping. Yeah.
He's helping, kind of. Eric Bana. It's a Sean Bean, Brad Pitt, obviously. Brian Cox, Brendan Gleeson, Peter O'Toole.
Yeah.
It's
Brad
just
Pitt
a whole
Achilles?
fucking cast.
Brad Pitt is Achilles. Garrett Hedlund is Patroclus.
Oh my god.
But
do they know homo them? Of course they know homo them.
Well, they're cousins, right? So it's in this version
so
of it.
Sailor Moon. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. No, exactly. They're cousins, but the first time that we see them, they're having this sword fight, and it's this is kind of.
Or are they having a sword fight?
It's there's one point I remember there's a text that I sent to Leia just out of context that just reads "heterosexually strokes my cousin's hair." It was just you're on a boat and he was just being this is not how.
So they knew the source material.
Yeah, it was homoerotic in the way that a lot of action movies from the early 2000s could be. That kind of maybe unintentionally, maybe not.
Yeah.
Garrett Hedlund is a baby in it. He's just a baby face. And then Eric
Fetus,
Bana, fucking wrecks him. You're like, oh no, that's really bad.
no.
Oops.
Brian Cox is basically just playing, a version of what he's going to do later as Logan on Succession, which is very funny. Very similar.
He was preparing.
When you think about it, yeah.
He was practicing.
Rose Byrne is there.
Oh, I love her.
Yeah, Peter O'Toole
also in Star Wars.
Also in Star Wars. We'll talk about her tonight.
Yes.
God, is there anybody else from Star Wars? Man, yeah. Sorry, I just
Probably.
There's gotta be, right?
Law of large numbers.
0.2 second tangent where I was thinking about people who kind of couldn't act in the early 2000s and thinking about what if Hayden Christensen played Paris? What if Orlando Bloom played Anakin?
Oh my
That would be
God.
so bad. Orlando Bloom couldn't play Anakin. Hayden Christensen
No.
could play
No.
Paris. But Orlando Bloom
Yeah,
couldn't
fair.
play Anakin.
No.
He doesn't have the...
I love him dearly. He would not have
sauce.
succeeded.
Yeah.
He can't.
I don't think he has I don't think he's angry enough.
No,
He doesn't
he's
have
not.
the touch of insanity that I need.
No.
True. He's very,
yes.
like, I'm your steady boyfriend. Like, he's useless,
Right.
right? Which is kind of what you
Right.
need
He's
in a Paris
Yes.
character. Just because
He's
you're
like-
Paris is fucking you. Hector is holding this whole thing together with his bare fucking hands, and Paris is just like, oh, I brought her back. You're a fucking idiot.
What are you
Orlando
even
Bloom
doing
has-
here?
Orlando Bloom has stereotypical early 2000s leading lady energy, where it's not that he's unintelligent,
True.
but he is just, like, vapid.
Yeah, true. He's
opened
beautiful
his
but
mouth-
brainless.
Yeah, he opened
Yes.
his mouth to speak. Oh no, it was during the scene where it was during the fight between Achilles and Hector, which was really good. Good sword fighting or good, fighting in general. Not rapier, obviously.
Nice.
Like
he could play
Achilles.
Buttercup,
They're not
but
fencing, but
He could
play Buttercup, but he could not play Wesley.
Exactly. And Achilles was just wrecking
Princess
Hector's
Bride
shit,
remake.
right? And everybody was like, "Oh, this is so
Sure.
painful," and then and Orlando Bloom. They show a shot of Orlando Bloom reacting to his brother being fucking murked, and there's like nothing going on behind it.
nothing behind those eyes.
The lights are on, but no one's
interesting-
home.
For Sneople lore, is that the actress who plays Andromache is Saffron Burrows, who, as we may recall, was the lead actress in Deep Blue Sea, who had her scene cut. So, and apparently, IRL is a lesbian. Good for her. Welcome to the club.
Congratulations. She had that energy in Deep Blue Sea. She had the,
did.
mean lesbian energy, which I liked for her. I enjoyed that.
And she's very beautiful. She's very beautiful in this movie. She actually is doing a much better job than Orlando Bloom is. She doesn't have a lot to do, obviously, but she did a job reacting to her husband dying. Anyway, enough talking about Troy, for God's sake.
We gotta move on from Troy.
We have to move on. I watched 17 short films, so I'm not going to
What a
mention them
sentence.
all there. I spent literally one of my weekends all day just sitting on the couch watching short films. I got my booster.
I got a
shot,
warning
and
about
I was
this.
like,
I got a heads up.
Just
For
so
like
you know.
a festival and festival entries, or just like how did you choose them? Like what was
That's a good question.
How did I choose them? They were all on the Criterion channel.
Okay.
And I went through going I went on Letterboxd and I looked up popular short films that I hadn't seen.
Nice.
That my friends liked that were also on the Criterion channel, and then I narrowed it down to 17 because that was the number of movies that I needed to catch up on that I hadn't reached my quota of, per month throughout this year. So I'm trying to watch 15 movies per month, which never happens because life is stupid. And movies obviously being the most important thing.
I mean, that's a movie every 2 days, essentially.
Yeah,
roughly.
basically. And it doesn't
That's
really pan out.
difficult.
It's difficult. Obviously, I cut back and
Which is why you spend a weekend day just slamming
Watching
17
films.
short films to try and catch up.
It's good because then you can get caught up and it doesn't take a long time. It still takes some time.
That's called efficiency.
Yeah, that's just called planning and knowing what your priorities are, quite honestly.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
So, yeah, I saw some good ones. Saw some, kind of fine ones. I really liked The Big Shave, which is the Martin Scorsese one of when he was a student. Blow Up My Town, the Chantal Ackerman one, which from maybe late 60s, early 70s. Werner Herzog Heats His Shoe, King. Great movie.
Hey,
Loved
he's
it.
in The Mandalorian, speaking of Star Wars. He would like to
is
see
in
the baby.
Mandalorian. He
Yeah.
would like to see the baby. I would like to see him eat his shoe, and I did. Kind of.
Nice.
Weekends, which I actually would recommend to most people here. I would recommend Werner Herzog Eats His Shoe as well. But Weekends is a little animated film from 2017. Mostly silent. No, pretty much all silent. It's like no dialogue. About
some sound effects and
kid,
stuff, but
in Toronto, going between his divorced parents' houses over from weekends to weekdays and stuff over
wow.
a year. It's really good. I cried at one point. It's just it's very expressionistic. It's very kind of fantasy. He has nightmares and impressions of things that kind of become a little bit fantastical. But it was really lovely. And you can watch that on the Criterion channel. So I watched 17 of them. There was a David Lynch one called Premonitions Following an Evil Deed that was like a minute long. Okay, King, go off.
Oh, wild.
Hell yeah.
Very creepy. So I did that. I watched The House of the Devil as my first Halloween movie, which is on Tubi. Not crazy about it. Wouldn't recommend. Kind of lame. Not very scary. It's my thing.
Bummer.
There is one like really gnarly kill in it, but that's kind of it. I mean, Tom Noonan is there, which is great. Always welcome. But,
That is good.
Yeah. And not a Halloween movie. I went to see Catherine Called Birdie.
How was it?
I really liked it. Which
Oh,
I was
good!
really hesitant about because I have, my issues with Lena Dunham as a person.
Extremely fair.
It was such a good movie, and it was so well cast, and I was just like, a delight the entire time. Andrew Scott,
Yay.
obviously, as we all know, Andrew Scott and Billie Piper play her parents in this movie, which is like a personal attack against me. And
what casting?
And they're both wonderful, but he in particular was just like, oh my god, fucking incredible performance, like Oscar-worthy performance.
Yay!
I'm gonna call it.
Oh my god. I'm gonna have to watch it.
Performance, please do. I really recommend it. Great cast all around. And then I watched Frankenstein, the original Frankenstein from 1931, also on Tubi. Good stuff. Great stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Not as quite as good as My Best Friend, The Bride of Frankenstein, which I will be rewatching soon, but,
That's my wife.
That's my wife. It's building the blocks. It's setting up the whatchamacallit foundation. I really thought that the joke in Young Frankenstein that was about like abnormal brain was something that they did, but they actually have a jar that says abnormal brain on it in this movie.
Incredible. It's like when you rewatch Men in Tights after actually watching the Kevin Costner Robin Hood, which I do love. I have a stupid love of that movie, but there's so many more little jokes and things than you realize there are when you actually kind of consider them back to back.
I should rewatch.
I have not seen either in a very long time.
Yeah, it's been a hot minute for me too. I want to rewatch them.
The only real issue I have with Prince of Thieves, there's little tiny. I mean, it's an imperfect movie, but it's enjoyable. But Christian Slater, I'm like, why are you even here? At any point.
Oh, I love him. I love that bit of casting.
He worked with Kevin Costner.
Christian Slater as Will Scarlet thrills me.
Because they're brothers, right?
Half brothers, I believe,
half-brothers?
in that
like,
in
that
that iteration.
Sense.
I think so.
That does work.
I think so. It's visually good casting.
Though.
Yeah.
So perfect.
My main problem with it, as much as I love it, and other than my obvious main problem with it, which is the anti-Islamic racism, is the lighting is really poor. At least on the DVD version that I have, a lot of it is just it's just difficult to watch from a lighting perspective. Yeah.
Huh. I don't remember that. I'll have to give that a look.
It's very dark. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I wonder if that's something with the
DVD
again,
I have, or I don't
haven't
know.
seen
I'd be
this movie in
curious.
so long that I don't remember dick squat about it, so I wouldn't know. But I'm like, if I wonder if that's like a TV, because we were talking about, we'll get into this later. We were talking about like lighting stuff in Star Wars, but yeah. I mean, last time I would have seen that movie, I would have been a kid, and I wouldn't have fucking noticed the lighting
paid attention
anyway.
to that.
I would have been like, da-da-da-da-da. So whatever. Just like that.
Just like that. Speaking of being a kid, I also rewatched Over the Garden Wall. That's the last thing that I rewatched. Which will
I haven't
be
done my seasonal.
The last time I rewatch it this month or this season, because I think that we are all wanting to do a little one this season.
Yes.
I think so.
Even if we don't manage it, I'd like to do it again.
I have not rewatched it yet this year, and I really want to. It's so good.
It's
perfect.
We talked about it a little bit last episode too, but like
Nice.
God, talk about a show that like always holds up no matter how many times I watch it. I saw it when it was coming out, and I've watched it at least once or twice a year every year since then, and every single time I'm like, yeah, this still is a fucking banger. Like this show is still so incredibly good.
This just slaps front to back. Yeah. The soundtrack, my God.
The soundtrack is incredible.
I always listen to the soundtrack every year too. Every like autumn, I'm like, all right, time to turn on the.
Mm-hmm.
The jokes are really great. I think the jokes do a really good job of being something that I think could be really funny to kids. Because I was watching it with my roommates, and one of my roommates who's never seen it before was like, "This is very random."
Always a treat.
I was like, Yeah, it's like it's a children's. I mentioned this to my coworker, and they were like, "Well, yeah, because it's a children's cartoon."
Yeah,
I would argue that it's an all ages show, and I think that that's what's really good about it. I have a lot of opinions about the difference between children's media and all ages media, and I think that it nails being appropriate for kids, but offering something for all ages.
Totally.
Like the things that Greg says, and then I'll shut up and move on to the next thing. Like all the really funny shit that Greg says are funny because I feel like they would be funny to kids in a different way. Like they're funny because he's delivering them in a funny way, but they're also like funny to us as adults because they're so accurate to what a little kid sounds like and how they talk.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
In the first episode, when Word is just like talking about his life and how hopeless it is, and like and Greg's like, "Oh, I didn't know that. Did you know that?" And you're just like,
like I can see coming from the perspective of like, oh, that's really random. Talk. Yeah, but like that's really random. That's weird. But like, I peek behind the curtain. I guess my nephew is almost 5, so I spent a lot of time with a kid who's younger than Greg is supposed to be, but like kind of in that same age range. And like, brother, that's just how they fucking talk, and it's the funniest shit in the whole world. It's so I feel like it's so fucking spot on for like how some kids talk like that. That they're just kind of like. The connection their brains make is just not something you think of anymore as an adult. And I think it's very, very cute. I find it really endearing. I don't find it as like a early mid-2000s, like, oh, so random, like that kind of thing. I just think it was like, oh, kids.
It's very clever. It's very, it feels very real.
Yes.
Yep.
And it's part of the charm.
And the kid who's playing Greg also is doing a great job. I think he's
brilliant.
I think he was like 12 or something, maybe even younger than that when he did that voice. And I think it's like he's sometimes it's hard to have kids do good any acting, but especially voice acting because you're not seeing anything,
right?
You're not interacting with anything really. And he's so good. He's so good.
He nails it.
Yeah.
That's what I've seen.
Okay,
love it.
I haven't seen very much. Oh,
obviously,
yes.
Andor.
Yes.
Nice.
Awesome.
As I mentioned in the last episode, I've been sick. I've continued to be different kinds of sick, actually, which is
cool.
Interesting.
Hang in there.
Yeah. I'm fighting off a cold right now, and I've been dealing with some other bigger issues. So I haven't seen very much. I've been just kind of like trying to recover. This is also why last week's Sneople came out a week late, because I didn't want to fucking edit it. I'm gonna be honest.
Didn't want to do it.
I didn't want to fucking do it. But I did a double feature of Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost and Practical Magic, which was
that's such a good double feature.
It was really good. Those were both movies I hadn't seen.
Front to back.
Yeah, two movies I hadn't seen since I was a kid, and therefore did not remember much about either of them. I know, obviously, you two are very big fans of Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost.
Yes, we did do a team costume of 2 of the Hex Girls a couple years ago for Halloween.
And I was really impressed by the fact that, like, that movie is, like, it's like an hour and 5 minutes. It is basically a long Scooby-Doo episode.
Yeah.
But it didn't feel like that. It felt
exactly
like a movie.
69 minutes long. I remember this.
Nice!
Of course it is!
Fucking swish.
Anyway.
Oh my god, they nailed it.
But yeah, I think I wrote this in my Letterboxd review. I was like, it's really impressive that this has the pacing of a movie. It doesn't feel like a long, because there's like one of the Clone Wars movies, I've definitely said this on the show, that just feels like a long Clone Wars episode. This did not feel like a long Scooby-Doo episode, which I was it's really impressed.
It's structured like a film. For those who haven't seen it, the 2 things I can say to make you watch it are to paraphrase that one Tumblr post that's like, you didn't choose to be gay, you chose to watch Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost repeatedly when you were a child and fixate on the Hex Girls, and you ended up this way.
Yep.
And also Tim Curry playing young, sexy Stephen King pastiche from, I think, is it Maryland instead of Maine?
Yeah,
I think so. I don't know if they ever explicitly say, like, where in New England that he is.
But New England, yeah.
Yeah. I remember watching it, and you guys had warned me beforehand, because I had forgotten that piece. I basically just remembered the Hex Girls, was like,
of
course.
Okay,
what of it?
Yeah.
But I was like, is he supposed to be sexy? Like, is he supposed to be a hot Stephen King? This is very weird for me.
He is, and it's Tim Curry.
And it's fucking Tim Curry just killing it. He's so good, as per usual. Yeah. And Practical Magic is so delightful. Like,
it's so
it's
good.
such a... it's such a, like, 90s girl movie
Yes.
in a way that I find so endearing.
Yes.
I did cry. What else is new?
Yeah, the book is quite good too. I had actually read the book before I'd seen the movie. Yeah, what is her name? Practical Magic.
Alice
It's
Hoffman.
got a boot on the cover. Thank you. Yes, Alice Hoffman. I was like, it's an A. Yeah, it's very good. There's a couple others that are connected about that family that I've not read, but the main book is good.
Cool.
Yeah, her newest one I thought was kind of a
I think it's the prequel.
The prequel? Yeah,
I think so. I think her newest one is about their ancestor, who is the witch that the whole curse kind of starts with.
Oh, interesting.
Who are Maddie, do you remember who plays the aunts in that movie? Or it's the aunts, right?
Oh, I looked it up while I was watching because I was like, shit,
oh my god, Haley's gonna kill me for blanking on her name. It's Rizzo from Grease. She's the first lady on the West Wing. What is her name?
Oh my
hold up, I'm pulling up.
God,
I thankfully had Letterboxd open.
Stalker Channing, thank you. I'm in love with her. Haley, I'm sorry, I forgot her name.
And Diana Beast.
Yes.
Oh,
yes, that's right.
Yeah. Fucking Ever Rachel Wood is in it as a baby.
Yeah, as one of the she's
one of the kids. It's crazy.
And Aidan Quinn as
Aidan Quinn plays the love interest who, like, I was like, for like the 90s, I was like, you were surprisingly kind of just like a guy. But I ended up finding him, like, very charming and very endearing. I think he does a good job. He is playing a cop, but
which is unfortunate.
But I don't know. I came around on him because he was like, whatever, fuck it. This guy deserves to die anyway.
Yeah, exactly. He plays a cop who actually has morals and is like, maybe the system is broken.
Maybe the system is broken and I am gonna not turn in this literal murderer because I'm in love with her and also she was right. And I'm like, King.
That man 100% deserved to die.
And he was in Arizona, which, like, Arizona will do that to a guy, you know?
Arizona will do that to you.
So he left. I keep thinking that movie takes place on the West Coast, and I have no clue why. Because it absolutely does not. It is very much a New England movie, but I don't know. It's on the coast, and there's a bunch of rocks,
Seattle
and I was
vibes.
like, that's right, Oregon.
Right. It's got, like, the, like, older parts of Seattle vibes to me.
Yeah.
In certain areas of it. So I can see why you'd West Coast it in your brain.
Yeah, I don't know. I think also because I very much associate it with my mom. So I'm like, obviously, Oregon. Because my mom is an Oregon native. So I say, like, I'm not also an Oregon native. Whatever. Doesn't matter. And I've watched all of Andor. So I've watched, as of today, there are 5 episodes out. All caught up. Helen and I are insane about it. We'll talk about it more later.
I love
Madeline, what have you seen?
Well, I most recently rewatched the beloved Disney Channel original movie Halloween Town, which is a delightful masterpiece. It was filmed, at least the town setting itself, in St. Helens, Oregon, which is not that far from here.
No.
And they have a whole thing called the Spirit of Halloween Town, where they still have a bunch of the set up and a bunch of Halloween stuff. So I believe my bestie Haley and I are going to go this coming weekend and go scope it out. She had not seen it before, so we had to watch it as homework.
Oh. Yeah,
It's so
absolutely.
good.
So delightful.
Yeah, it's so good. Honestly, like, it's cheesy as heck because it's a Disney Channel original movie. That's what you're in for. But really the only plot point that doesn't land, like, at all is there's this little boy who's, like, working for the bad guy and then isn't, and it's just kind of thrown in there as this half-hearted thing at the end. The rest of it very, like, tonally sticks together. Like, you are in for what you signed up for, and the world building is so lovely. And the best part is it's set in this, like, it's this pocket dimension where all the Halloween creatures and people live, right? And you can just tell that every extra in the background is having the time of their lives. It's delightful. There's this guy who's a broom salesman who's very, like, used car salesman, but with big Elvis energy. And I happened to look up some cast stuff for it, and it turns out that it's fucking Kenneth Choi from who's in my wee woo soap opera 911.
Crazy.
As Chimney Han.
Diagram.
Fucking incredible actor. Kenneth Choi in one of his first roles. Yeah, it all comes back to Halloween Town, baby.
Wild.
Yeah. So yeah, also the first 3 episodes of season 6 of my firefighter soap opera 911 are out, so that's cool and exciting. The most recent episode was a bottle episode focusing on Angela Bassett's character, who is a police officer, and Angela Bassett's obviously incredible, but, like, Prayer Circle, she solved the cold case that made her want to be a cop, and just, like, Prayer Circle that lets her stop being a cop. I'm so tired of there being cop storylines.
Yeah.
Like, all the firefighter
she
stuff is
deserves
great.
better than to be a cop. Also.
Yeah, and she really does. And the show is very skewed towards the firefighters and then also the 911 dispatch center, but there are some cop storylines, and it's just exhausting. So that's cool.
No.
She's so beautiful. My God. Mm-hmm. What an actress. Thinking about her. Rewatched The Princess Bride recently on Isabel's last night before she went back to school. It was a very good, last night send-off. And then I've been back into... It's just a perfect film. Like, I think it's my favorite movie. I know it's everyone's favorite movie, but I think it's my favorite movie.
It's one of those movies that, like, you watch a bunch as a kid, and as an adult, you're like, was that good because I was a kid, or because, like, it's good? And then you watch it as an adult, you're like, oh, this is better than I thought it was.
It's
I
good
didn't realize how good it was. Yeah.
Yeah. So good. Got back into playing the new Lego Star Wars game again, speaking of Star Wars.
Yep.
Which rips. And then I watched the first episode of Andor and read some stuff about the rest so that I could participate more fully in the conversation. Because I wanted to, if it's cool to dive into Andor.
This could be our transition, yeah.
Yeah, I thought I would explain that I had a hard time starting it, and I was trying to figure out why, because I am excited about it, and I am in love with Diego Luna.
Aren't we all?
But I think it's right. And I was just thinking about some of the other shows that they've done, and this one is this unique niche, which is hard to say, where it is not about a character that I was already, like, hardcore big obsessed with. Like, I like Cassian Andor, don't get me wrong, but we just watched the Kenobi show, right? Like, it's not like a big name character.
My wife, Obi-Wan Kenobi.
The saddest man in the galaxy. And it's not a completely new kind of corner the way that Mandalorian was. It's this in-between thing where it's about this existing character, but also expanding this part of the timeline and this part of the universe. And I think it's the mix of that not drawing me in quite as much, even though I knew I wanted to watch it. And then I think I realized that the big thing is, much like with Rogue One itself, where you know where it's going to end. So it's a journey to this tragedy, and that's why it's really good. There's an element of that in his story for me in general, where I'm like, I'm going to love this and be excited about it, and I know where it ends. And so I had to be in the right headspace to want to get on board, you know?
Yeah.
It's really interesting.
I totally understand.
Say that, like, it's not necessarily about this new corner like The Mandalorian is, but it's expanding something. And yet, because I haven't watched the Mandalorian show, and I haven't watched the Book of Boba Fett.
I will say also specifically Mando season 1, because season 2 they do start to tie back into other stuff.
Gotcha. I gave up on Kenobi because I was just not something I like. I saw their
hey, to each their own. I'm in love with it. To each their own.
Yeah. He's very.
That is my one.
Very good.
Yeah, my one critique of that show is that it's, or my one critique of like the plot line that they chose is they do have that big duel, and it is, I think, a little hard to buy that they met up again in between and they both walked away from it. Like, I do respect that critique. However, it did still slap. I cried a lot. I was in love with it.
I mean, it's like this.
Anyway, I'm sorry,
thing,
I derailed you.
Yeah, no. I'll say two things, and I'll get back to the duel. I'll say the duel thing first, since we're not necessarily talking about Kenobi, although I'm sure it'll come up tonight. It's not even so much that, like, because I know a lot of people's hesitation about them meeting before they're supposed to meet again in New Hope was like, oh, it takes away, like, the impact of them meeting again in New Hope for the first time after years. And I don't agree with that necessarily. It actually it almost makes sense that they would meet again one more time, right? But I'm not sure what it was.
It makes almost no sense that they would meet again, considering that Anakin is so obsessively looking for him.
Obsessed with finding him.
Fucking Tatooine. Like, it's like he's
on Tatooine
making jokes.
He's hiding in plain sight, right? Like,
he's your hometown, dude. He's like literally fucking hanging out.
He's literally like maybe a couple of hours away from the town that you were born in. Like,
he's close enough that he can frequently, like, spy on your step brother and, like, your son. Like, on a day trek. Like, he's there, bruh. Like,
he's right there. I think it makes sense to me that they would have met, because there's something in Star Wars about how they always establish that the galaxy is just as big as it needs to be until it is quite small, and it always gets quite small around the Skywalkers, right? Like Han rolls up in the Millennium Falcon onto the Death Star carrying Vader's son, coming to pick up Vader's daughter with Vader's father, and both of his droids, one of which he built, and the Wookiee that saved Vader's apprentice that one time. Like... It's a big galaxy until
who the fuck is this other guy?
And Han Solo is the only person there who's just like, whatever. Man.
Yeah, to quote that Tumblr post, who in Mustafar is the guy with the vest? Future son-in-law, whatever, it's fine.
Well, so what Andor feels like it's doing to me is that it's not, because it's this kind of in-between, almost a prequel movie in itself, it just feels like, it still feels very new to me. Like, I feel like I'm watching an entirely new thing, because I think it's adding so many little interesting things.
Oh my god, yeah.
I do completely agree. And just from that first episode, the world building, I guess for me it was that my expectation of it was that it wouldn't feel as new. And so not like that necessarily that was the reality of it, but that was that expectation made it harder for me to pick up.
Yeah. Very fair.
I had the same feeling. So I watched the first episode, and I was like, that was really good. I'm excited to keep watching it, but I don't know. And then I watched 2, 3, and 4 yesterday, and I just, like, couldn't put it down. I was like, especially when you get to 3.
Was incredible.
I can't wait.
Yeah, 3 really just, like, blows it up, and it's just like, whoa, holy fuck. I, like, understand why they dropped 1, 2, and 3 altogether, because you get to the end of 3, and it's this great cliffhanger.
And that whole episode like, moves, like, it's like this whole little contained thing.
Ugh, I love that kind of thing.
It's really tense.
Yeah.
Oh, so good.
Love the chop gal who I was like, she's so familiar and so hot. Who is she? She's Anathema Device. She's Anathema Device on the Good Omens TV show.
Oh, that's where she's from.
And I didn't recognize her without the giant glasses, right? Like,
and I haven't seen that show, so I wouldn't have.
Oh, it's great.
Anyway,
sorry.
I was gonna say, Helena, you and I were talking earlier about how this show, like, feels like a show with a Star Wars twist, rather than all the... And I am obviously a massive Star Wars fan. I'm wearing a Star Wars t-shirt literally right now.
You are.
Love.
But, like, and I've liked the other Star Wars shows. I didn't watch very much of Book of Boba Fett. I watched the first episode, and I was like, this is fine, and I'll watch the rest of it eventually, so to be ready for Mando Season 3. But I liked the other shows, right? But I'm watching Andor, and it feels very different, because it's not like, I don't know, it's not a Star Wars show. It is a really good, solid show set in the Star Wars universe. I spend, like, every minute of that show being like, wow, holy fuck. It's like...
Hell yeah.
We've talked about her before, but it's Gavia Baker Whitelaw, who does reviews for...
Daily Dot?
The Daily Dot? Yeah. Who I have a lot of respect for. I like her quite a lot. Said, as she was getting some, like, pre-review stuff for the show, and was like, this is the best Star Wars show they have made. Easily. And I was like, yeah, but I'm someone who likes the other Star Wars shows. I wonder if I'll still think that. And then I watched, like, the first few episodes, and I was like, nah, never mind. This is it. Like, this is...
Like, I'm in.
Yeah.
Well,
even as somebody who really liked everything else, I'm like... No.
Totally. I think a lot of the feeling after the sequel movies, which, for posterity, the last time on this show, I was like, the third one was actually pretty good. I've sat on it. I've percolated. I was blinded. It's not.
This is Madeline's redemption arc.
Yeah, this is my redemption arc. I'm pretty anti-sequel trilogy in general now. I still feel like Force Awakens is a really fun and good movie, and I love the characters it establishes, but...
agreed.
In hindsight, I don't think you can build a trilogy off of it no matter what they'd done, because I think it ruins the world state, which I could talk about for hours. But anyway, point being, I think that after that trilogy, which tied so heavily into, like, but it's got to be the Skywalker saga, it's got to be this big dramatic, like, this is the only thing Star Wars can be. I think people were really hungry for, like, let's explore the other parts of this galaxy, and the other ways we can do stuff. And I think that's where, like, the Mando, like, Star Wars, but it's a Western, and, like, Dad and his baby show, right? Like, that's where that came in, and I think that that's where Andor comes in, too, is these glimpses we've gotten of some of the seedier underbelly of these worlds. And also, I was so struck with the mining or whatever it is that they're doing, but just seeing them get off a work shift in the first episode, and thinking about, like, okay, the average person, what is the average civilian's life like in the Star Wars universe, right? Because all we see are like, yeah, under the Empire, even back under the Republic too, under like during the Clone Wars, like at any point in the timelines we've seen, what is the average person doing? Because all we see are these like freedom fighters and fascists and like heroes and villains, right? But like, what's Joe Schmo doing?
Yeah, what are just like the randos doing?
How do you survive this galaxy?
And
and Andor is doing a great.
Yeah, Andor is like that whole idea writ large, because they spend so much time with all of these side characters. Even like this guy, I think he's giving a great performance too. He's one of my favorite performances in the show. The guy playing Cyril, the Imperial cop, basically.
The cop,
the very twinky cop.
Oh,
yeah.
The extremely twink cop.
But he's also like so extremely like. The Empire is obviously based on, like, British imperialism down to the fucking jompers. But, like, he has such, like, that perfect performance of, like, the British imperial that you would have seen in any of those, like, BBC shows taking place in colonial times. Like, he is giving that 100%.
It's like
he has the white man's burden, guys.
Yeah, he is drinking the fucking Kool-Aid.
Yeah, he thinks he is, like, not that RoboCop would ever do this, because RoboCop is a good person, and RoboCop is anti-cop propaganda. But he thinks that he's RoboCop, space RoboCop. Like, he really thinks you get to see him really...
Right. He thinks he's RoboCop in the way that Fight Club fans think that they know what Fight Club is about.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
He thinks he's
fighting a crusade. He thinks he's the good guy.
Yeah,
and
yes.
He has no idea what the fuck he's up against. But he's not.
Yeah.
Right. I liked about that first episode, I thought that they set that off nicely with him being the line about like, well, these are our employees. If I'm not watching out for them, why am I working here? What's the point? I thought they did a really good job of threading the needle of understanding where he's coming from, and even letting his purpose be just the tiniest bit empathetic without ever excusing the fact that it is still done on behalf of a fascist regime and for shitty people.
Yes. I think the show is really good at that.
Yeah.
There's another plot that is going to come up in like 4 and 5. That where we start to get some of that with somebody else. And it's like, you are a fascist. What you are doing is wrong. And the people you are doing it for are, like, evil. Yeah. But I see where you're coming from. I see
and how
where
you've
this
justified this to yourself.
Which is something we've never seen with the Empire before. And I know there are people online who are like, why are they justifying it? And it's like, that's not the point. The point is... the people, are justifying themselves. Yes. And in order for any of the Empire stuff to run, it has to be full of people doing exactly that.
Right. Yeah. And the point is that you cannot dismantle any regime like that or any, any social movement like that with binary thinking, right? And with being like, well, it's us versus them and they're evil. That doesn't get you anywhere. It's important to acknowledge, no, these are people who are doing actively horrible things, but they're justifying it to themselves. And that was the Rebels TV show. My beloved character Alexander Callis was another, like, he was an Imperial. He was one of the main villains for the first couple seasons, and he has an arc where he starts to, one of our rebels gets him to kind of question some of the things that he thinks he knows, and he starts to realize, like, oh Dunk, I've been making a lot of excuses and justifications for a really horrible thing.
Yeah. It's like one of the first times I feel like the politics since the original films, which were never really like fully committed to making the politics, quote unquote, like, overly not explained.
That wasn't really the point.
It wasn't really meant to be like overly political, but at least it felt like there was like an idea. A lot of, I think one of the one drawbacks of the prequels is I do feel like the politics are slightly incoherent.
The prequels, there is like a West Wing drama happening in the background, and we only ever see the surface of it, and they don't do a good job of introducing you to that and explaining it, whereas I think it's actually very purposeful, and I don't want to ascribe purpose to George Lucas, I think it is very smart, and maybe if it's something that Carrie Fisher script doctored, I'll ascribe purpose to it, that in 4, one of the first things we hear about galactic politics is that the Imperial Senate has been disbanded, and that the the Emperor has taken over is like full complete coup, because it establishes that there have been politics in this world and that they don't matter anymore, because it is now like, it is no longer pretending to be a regular republic. It is outright declared itself a fascist state. And so all we can do is fight it, right? So you don't have to worry about the politics. With that one line, they very neatly established the politics are not going to matter. It's
over. That part is over.
What I think Andor is doing is really brilliant lead up to that. Like, what they're doing with Mon Mothma especially is really fascinating. And like, without too much spoilers.
I don't mind. Only spoil for, or not for listeners. Don't worry about me.
We're gonna have to do something at the beginning, basically being like, I mean, I'll do that now. Hey, if you haven't watched Andor yet and you want to skip the next like maybe 20 minutes or so, I'll leave like a timestamp in the description.
Or come back and listen after you watch it.
Come back and listen after you watch Andor. Like, we're just gonna get into it.
What they're doing with her husband, there's like a little thing with like her husband not remembering the name of their driver. Like, this whole class thing is just like, what's his name? It's like, you know what his name is. His name is, and I can't remember his name right now.
And then he has to ask her again
but
later,
he's not your driver,
that same
so it's okay.
day.
In the car. And
he's like, I don't remember.
Just like, God.
We don't need to remember the names of the help.
Their little, like, limo, their space limo, you know, and like, she has like this whole fight with her daughter that her husband is like giving silent agreement to the daughter on, where it's like, why do you feel like you need to go to these things? Like, you're just trying to convince yourself that you, like, your position matters and you're doing something and you're not. It's just super interesting. I love what they're doing with it.
I love that.
And it's smart to do it through the eyes of Mon Mothma, a character we're familiar with, and if you're watching Andor, you fucking know who Mon Mothma is. Like,
right? Like,
and that there's the like, you know who Mon Mama. Yeah, well,
Mama, sorry.
Yeah, wink. My wife, Mon Mothma. But
she's so hot. Anyway, sorry.
Oh my god, she's so hot. But you know that she's part of the rebellion. You know that she's one of the few senators left. It's like her and Bail Organa and maybe like a handful of others who are desperately trying to do anything to support the rebellion from the inside.
Just like preserve democracy.
Yeah. So every argument she has with her
of
husband. Yeah, any of those arguments she has with just, like, the random people in her life who are just like, why are you being so uptight? Why are you so, like, why can't you just relax? And you know that in the background is her being like, oh my god, because our way of life is dying. Because people are dying. What is wrong with you? And I just need to shake her husband and be like, what's wrong with you? He's a rich guy. For him, it doesn't matter. The Republic, the Empire, it's all the fucking same. But, you know...
It's extremely 2016 election of them.
Oh my god.
We're not time traveling back there. No, thank you.
You can't make me go back.
Yeah, it's really, there's so many different side plots, and the pacing of the show is really good in that it doesn't ever feel like, sometimes, like, once again, I only saw the first episode, but with the first episode of the Boba Fett show, I was like, why are we jumping around like this? This feels kind of disjointed. Whereas, like, the pacing and the flow of the show feels very, like, the cuts in between, like, Mon Mothma to, Stellan Skarsgård's character, I'm sorry, I don't remember, Luthen, to, like, back to Cassian, to, like, all of that.
And then the flashbacks.
And the flashbacks.
I was gonna say,
all feels very good.
As I was watching episode 3 today, there was the episode 3.
Some of the cuts in episode 3 are incredible.
Incredible stuff. Like, because they cut between, most of the time they're cutting between the present day, as Cassian's being, like, hunted down by these Imperial officers, and then to his past when he is found on his... What's the name of the planet again?
It starts with a K.
K, thank you. Whatever they
so
found
helpful.
Him.
Kalena?
They say it like
his home planet.
His home planet. Where Fiona Shaw finds him, and there are moments when they were cutting back and forth that I found like, oh, this is kind of weird that they're putting the cuts here, but it came together so beautifully at the end with the chain and cutting between the flashbacks and the present days. The final moment was like, oh my god, okay. It really came together. And Fiona Shaw,
the production values on this show are just, she's so good.
Cast her on everything.
Yeah, the like, yeah, for real. But like, the cast of the show, like, there's not, thank you. There's not a single like weak link in this show. The cast is all so tight. They are all really holding it together. The script is great.
It was good.
The like
looks great.
Yeah. Fuck. It looks good.
I did change the settings on my television listeners because it was recommended to me by a mutual who has been watching House of the Dragon Game of Thrones show. And everyone is like, too dark, it's this, and that. And they're like, change the settings on your TV. There's a guy who, I don't think we ever had motion smoothing turned on our TV, and I can't find that setting anyway, so I'm just going to assume that it's not there. I don't think it is.
Yeah. I was going to say, my TV doesn't have that. Not all TVs do.
Thank God.
Not all TVs.
But he was like, keep your brightness at exactly 50, like exactly halfway, but turn your contrast all the way up to 100. Like, turn the tone to warm. And I did all of those things, and I also changed the sound settings or whatever. It did look... I watched the first episode of Andor without those settings, and then I watched every episode since then has been with them, and it does look so much better. But I think that's also partly because the show is, I think, filmed a little bit better, because I was like, I should go back and see if that problem I had in Kenobi has been fixed, and I went back and I was like, nope. Still looks like that.
That's fair.
It was a little bit brighter. It's like I specifically went for the first thing I watched was in episode 1 is like the night scene that he has with my crush Benny Safdie in the desert, where he's like, help me, and he's like, fuck off, leave me alone. And it's still dark. I can like see his face now, but it's still too dark.
Fair.
Yeah. So rough.
Yeah.
Why did they make so many things too dark?
It's very frustrating.
I don't understand. And it just shouldn't use volume in the way that they've been using it either. I just don't. I mean, Ezra and I talked about that at length last time. We don't need to go into it anymore here. But
well, speaking of the flashback element and speaking of the Boba show, that's something that I think Andor did really deftly that Boba show struggled with for me, was they tried in Boba to establish this framing device of these flashbacks are going to happen while he's in the Bacta tank that just felt very unnecessary, and then like
confusing.
That was most of the time, and then sometimes throughout the episode it would like, it's like, well, he's not in the Bacta tank anymore, but we need to continue the flashback, and it just felt kind of disjointed. And I thought that this proved you don't necessarily, like, if it's a good framing device, go for it, but you don't have to have one to justify that kind of thing. Like, just trust that your audience will follow as you, like, deliver the parts of the story you need as they are told, you know?
Flashbacks shouldn't be, in my personal opinion, they shouldn't be justified in terms of, like, oh, he's having a little dream, he's having a lie down, he's having a little...
Right, no.
Like, what it has to be justified by is thematically. Like, that was what, like, known Lost defender, myself, known Lost lover, what the flashback structure on Lost did really well was that every single episode was structured like that, right? Where it was a flashback or maybe a flash forward, depending on what scene.
Or a flash sideways.
Or sideways, or back and forth if you're Desmond. But there was always
not Penny's boat
thematically by it was always justified thematically by like what was happening to them in that episode. So if like it was a Jack episode, and like 9 times out of 10 Jack was having a thing about his dad, and he was like, oh, my dead dad, then
pills,
usually,
my dead
my dad, alcoholism, my dad. Whose body is on the island, maybe because this coffin was on the plane. Anyway, never mind.
Don't worry about it.
So usually, like 9 times out of 10, the flashbacks would be about his dad, you know, and the issues that he had with him and all of that. You know, I mean, it's early on. It's like getting set up and getting to know the characters. So it's like why we're here.
Right.
But as the show goes on, and we kind of we get to know like who they are, it becomes more thematic based on like what's going to happen to them in the episode. So, and they did that really well, so.
Yeah. I think thematic flashbacks are really good. I also wrote, the paper I am most proud of my college career was about nonlinear storytelling. And I think that there's also something to be said for nonlinear storytelling in general, and in this case, specifically flashbacks, shaping what the audience finds out when, right? And so there's something about shaping the audience's experience of something, and I think that a well-placed flashback is providing the information at the right point of the story arc, both for things to make sense and for the emotional beats to land, right?
Yeah. Have you seen Greta Gerwig's Little Women, Madeline?
Yes.
Yes.
I liked it.
I was just thinking about that at that moment, because there is that moment in there when they're having the flashback to like the last time that Beth was sick and she came down, and
I'm literally tearing up thinking about it. Yeah.
Sorry.
It's good.
But exactly to your point, it's like, how do we reveal this information in a way that hits the hardest, but like having both of these threads of knowledge at the same time. I agree.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Stan Andor, I guess. Don't stop anything. Stan is not good.
Standor.
Standor. But yeah, long and short, I really think that show is worth watching. I'm interested to see how the rest of the season kind of plays out. I looked it up, and there's going to be 2 seasons. I think 12 episodes each. It's going to be 24 episodes total.
I think that's the thought.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised
I'm interested to see how that's going to kind of pan out.
I will be curious to see if the second season delves some more into his rebellion-specific missions, particularly because we know, I forget when we find this out, but somewhere we find out that at one point he was one of the Fulcrums, which is, spoilers for Star Wars Rebels and Star Wars Clone Wars and some other tangentially connected stuff, one of the, established by Ahsoka Tano as her, like, data gathering intel thing, and Callus from Rebels becomes one of the Fulcrums as well. It's like a Republic intelligence thing, so I wouldn't be surprised if they delve into some of that in season 2 as we get closer to the Rogue One timeline.
Yeah,
canonizing the BBY calendar also. I think that's the first time that we actually see in a visual Star Wars media the BBY, at least a live action, the BBY
really?
before the Battle of Yavin calendar.
Yeah. Which is interesting.
Yeah, and as you were pointing out, really fucking depressing, because that's the same year Cassian dies. So when it says 5 BBY, it's like he has 5 years to live.
5 years to live! Yay!
Yeah,
I keep thinking...
And had a long, calm, and beautiful, peaceful life.
Christ.
Yeah. This show does a pretty good job of, like, not making me necessarily think about the fact, like, you're gonna die in 5 years. But it does hit every so often. It's like, wow, I, like, know you die.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I know when you die, and I know how you die, and that's like...
There was something that one of the Rebel characters in the latest episode said that did make me think a bit, because there's one point where they're like training for this thing that they're doing, and there's like a TIE fighter that like flies over them really close, and like they're like, oh shit. And this one guy says, what does he say? It's like something about they're never expecing... a surprise from above,
from
never
above.
As surprising as a surprise from below, and I was like,
below.
no, and then, yeah.
This makes me think. In general, I tend to prefer prequels to sequels, at least to sequels of a thing that is at one point established as being done, right? Like, I love a long series that keeps moving forward, but once it's established as finished, if we're going to revisit it, I'd rather go earlier than later, personally.
Yeah, agreed.
Which is a nice
but
tangent.
I think that...
But
yeah, but it will be in a second. Yeah, good. We can reconnect to this. But I was just going to say, I think that the tricky thing about that, though, the threading the needle thing, is that when you have these characters who have a very important character arc journey in the main media, you have to have them have a compelling journey in the prequel part without ruining the arc that they're about to go on. And so far, I feel like they're nailing that, but I will be very curious with 2 whole seasons, because Cassian is a pretty fucked up little meow meow at the beginning of Rogue One and has a very interesting arc in it. And I don't want that to be tainted by, that's my biggest problem with Star Trek Into Darkness, actually, is not even all of the, I got a lot of problems with it, but I think that my biggest problem is that it resets the character arc that they did for Kirk in the first, alternate original series movie. They're just like, what if we just redid this same character arc again?
It's almost and like J.J. Abrams is really bad at making sequels.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, it's almost like he's good at starting things and bad at continuing or finishing them.
Okay, mood, but like, fuck him also.
Yeah, but also fuck that guy.
Just remembering, before we go on to the prequels, I don't think that I was, because Madeline, you were the guest on the episode after we all first saw Rise of Skywalker. I don't think that I was there for that. I don't know if my general opinions were ever shared. If I had gone on that show, I would have been like, fuck that movie. I fucking hated it. Terrible film. Terrible.
Well, I think
I also think that you weren't on it.
Bad Star Wars movie, but also just a bad movie in general. Anyway.
Yeah. I think that that's part of why I kind of accidentally came down as the Rise of Skywalker defender, was because Matty and Ezra, as I recall, very fairly had some strong critiques. And I felt like, and I would still say this part of it, I felt like the tone of it lined up more with the Skywalker saga than Episode 8 does. Not saying that that makes it a better or worse movie, but that aspect, that singular aspect worked for me. That singular aspect of it worked for me, and because of that, I kind of ended up being the Rise of Skywalker defender in the chat, which I so regret. It's a bad movie, guys. It's a bad movie.
Just thinking about when we went to go see that before the kiss happened.
Oh my god.
And we were both just like, no, don't do it.
We were both just like, no, and then it happened, and we were... No! And our friends at the end of our row were like, hey, are they good? And Leia was just like, no.
I'm pretty sure I told this story on that episode, but I went and saw it with my dad. And when the kiss started to happen, I was like, no. And then he started to die. And I literally, under my breath, was like, oh, he's dying. I guess that's all right then. And my dad just burst out laughing.
We were just like,
we did the same.
He's dying.
We were like, no, the kiss, and then he died, and I was like, yay!
I think the kiss happened. We were like, oh fuck! Not even because it was like narratively at that point. Like without context, it was like not a bad kiss. We've talked about this before. Like without any context,
whatever.
It was not a bad kiss.
It was a good kiss, yeah.
But just like thinking about what this was going to cause. Ripple effects online mostly, and within the context of the larger narrative, and also, but I think the reaction was like, oh, no, like they're kissing, and then he died, and I was like, ah!
Oh, that's all right then.
It was pretty tasty.
Incredible.
God,
I think there was some minor cheering going on from our end anyway, that we were just like, yay, he fucking died, which is not a reaction you want to have in a movie. Like,
it is when he's the villain, but they could never figure out. They could never figure out
if they wanted that death to be like sympathetic. I was just sitting there thinking, like, thank fucking God he's dead. I'm so sick of his ass.
They tried so hard to nail.
They
tried so hard to nail the Vader parallel, and they failed it so dramatically.
Like, I'm sorry, you're not my boy, Anakin Skywalker. You never will be. Don't even try.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I was remembering how much, like, and I had forgotten because of how much I hated Rise of Skywalker, how supremely cool it was in Last Jedi, I thought, personally, when the two of them teamed up and had, like, the lightsaber duel, and they were, like,
that fight scene is together. Dope.
It was like, I was like, okay, fucking yes. Okay, like, this is interesting and almost makes all of those, like, weird Force phone calls, like, Zoom calls they have been having earlier in the movie worth it.
Stupid.
Where he looks like he has, like, his little high-waist pants, and he looks like, it's not a good
Oh my god, yeah, that's
not his fault. Bad choice.
It's not his fault. Like, he's a very jacked man, and he's just a very oddly shaped.
That was a costuming department fuck up.
No, yeah, the
like,
costuming makes him look
shape for
it's not a good cut for him
body.
At all.
Like,
he looks like the Thing. It's
he does.
He does.
But with like the Aladdin belt, it's like the belt of Aladdin's pants. It's
my
weird.
Best friend Ben Grimm had just like managed to go back to a normal body, but he like kept the shape of his body and like got rid of the space rocks. Anyway.
Oh my god.
This is not making fun of Avon Driver.
And became
I have nothing against the man. This is really the cosplay department fucked up, and I feel so bad for him.
I am willing to make fun of it because I hate Kyle Ron. It's not Adam Driver's. He played a fun and hateable, a fun to hate character, a hateable character.
He sure did his best with what he had.
It's a good performance. I really think. And it's just that he's trying...
the scripts are all bad.
Yeah, it was one of those things where it was a good homage to Anakin Skywalker in that he did the best with a bad script that he could, much like Hayden Christensen, but like...
Yeah.
So speaking of...
that wasn't the thing that you wanted to pay homage to, though, poor bastards.
No.
Yeah,
speaking of the prequels here.
The prequels, and how I prefer prequels to sequels in almost all things, and definitely here.
In Star Wars, yeah. So, Helena, you...
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
What were you going to say before I gave us a lead-in?
I wasn't going to say
before I did my weird producer lead-in.
I've already forgotten it, so go ahead.
I was just gonna say, you have rewatched. You haven't watched Revenge of the Sith again, right? You watched.
I haven't, and
Phantom
I was going
Menace.
to try and watch it tonight, but then I realized I had 3 episodes of Andor, and I was like, I should probably watch the Andor episodes instead.
You can watch something better instead.
Yeah, well, basically, yeah.
Look, I love Revenge of the Sith. My best friend, Revenge of the Sith.
It's a tragedy.
Andor is better.
Yeah.
So
no, absolutely. If you're listening and thinking maybe I should rewatch Revenge of the Sith, I highly recommend what Matty got me to do recently and read Matthew Stover's novelization of Revenge of the Sith. Warning that it is character assassination for my beloved Padme Amidala. She's the only character that he doesn't
almost
understand.
Every fucking book that has Padme in it, they're like,
yeah.
But the character assassination
if you want
than the film itself.
Yeah, if you want a really excellent behind-the-scenes, some Padme stuff, the YA trilogy by E.K. Johnson it's the Queen's whatever. I think the first one is Queen's Hope. Those are brilliant, and she nails that characterization. But anyway, other than my critique about
Padme and,
the rest of the stuff about the Revenge of the Sith novelization, though, is brilliant. He completely grasps the fact that it is a capital T tragedy, like tragedy of old. That is the arc of the story. Nails it. Does some really interesting stuff with where Anakin's head is at, which I think Hayden Christensen does a good job playing, but which the script doesn't support enough in the Revenge of the Sith movie. So yeah, highly recommend that novelization.
This podcast is full of Hayden Christensen defenders. He did his best, and the script was not.
He
very
did his
fair
best.
to him.
It's not his fault.
But I love him, and he acted his ass off with fucking nothing.
Yeah,
he
exactly.
Have some pretty goofy deliveries in Attack of the Clones, but I feel like
but like
some of those lines he's expected to say.
Lines he has to say, and then like. Honestly,
he's doing his best.
He's no worse than most of the people who are also like delivering this. Like that was, I have been my opinion has been slightly influenced by the fact that again I have been like binging Blank Check because I can't stop while watching Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones, and they do for every season that they've been talking about Star Wars, they do a performance review ranking and saying giving a thumbs up or a thumbs down to every performance in the movies, which has been like. Something that now I've been doing, like, every time I watch something now, I'm like, performance review, is this performance good or not? You know? And, like...
I love it.
It's hard sometimes, because I think that there's a difference between,
it's hard to do, like, a strong definitive, black and white on some performances, because sometimes someone's performance is not bad, but sometimes there's only so much you can do with a bad script. Yeah. So they can be acting their ass off, and the script can be garbo, and that will really just kind of tank it. And
it's no comment, right, on, like... how good they are as an actor in general, right? It's just like the specific performance that they're giving in this movie.
But I want to rank it on like a rubric because there's like there's their performance overall, but then there's like what are they doing with the script they were like what's the script considerations like we're talking about, also how well are they being directed, also how well are they working in ensemble because that's huge, like do they have someone to play off of, like
you have, I mean, oh my god, is everything that you just said like kill me because especially these movies George Lucas doesn't care about actors.
This is George Lucas figuring out how CGI works. It's George Lucas wanting to yell about the Iraq War, fair, and wanting to play with new CGI tools, also fair. Neither of those makes a cohesive trilogy.
Yeah, but he doesn't. There's a point that they make when they're talking about the performances in Attack of the Clones, where like Dexter Jetsters. What's his name? Dexter
Jetster. I believe.
Can't say. I'm gonna call him Dex. My best friend Dex.
Best friend Dex, who I love.
In the inexplicably 50s in space diner.
Yeah, diner. Yeah, that he runs. It's so good.
Fuck you. I love it.
No, it's great.
Yeah, my beloved.
He's a king, right? Like this guy, whoever is doing like the voice work for this character, is doing a really good job. And
Obi-Wan, it's so good.
Like, still kind of like it feels like if there had been an actual actor there. Like doing stuff, there would have been even more for him to play off of, which I think is just is like you can apply that to pretty much anything.
Man, I'm just picturing,
especially like behind the scenes days.
Yeah, I'm picturing that behind the scenes shot from, is it New Moon of the Twilight movies where Bella's petting the dog on the head and it's the guy curled up in the green screen suit? Like, you know Ewan McGregor had to be playing off of something like that, right?
It's like real, he's like looking at a styrofoam head or some shit, like, I don't know.
Was like, yes, my good friend Dex.
Like, this is before they, like, were using mocap, right? And that was, like, a huge deal, which I think would have improved some stuff in there exponentially. I'm just thinking of, like, the shot, well, when Daniel Radcliffe did Kill Your Darlings, and everybody was having that typical response in press tours where they're like, isn't it weird to play a gay person? And he was like, so when I was 11 years old, I had to do entire scenes where I was just talking to a tennis ball mounted on a stick when I was talking to Dobby. So this is like...
So that's weird.
Having to make out with Dane DeHaan, who's like an actual real person who's acting.
Having the pleasure of making out with Dane DeHaan.
Yeah.
Let me rephrase that. Having the honor of making out and having like fake sex with Dane DeHaan.
Mrs. Obama, it's been an honor. I just had a thought and it's escaping me again.
Anyway, Revenge of the Sith, we were talking about...
Sorry, my thought came back to me. It was just to loop it briefly back to the TV shows. One thing that I have loved about all of the recent TV shows is I think that they have all, and it's been a slightly different balance in each of them, but all hit a good balance of practicals versus CGI and saved their CGI budget for some really nice looking and interesting choices of things that would have been difficult to do with practicals, and have stuck with practicals for some very good and interesting stuff, which makes that world feel so much more alive again.
Yeah. Oh, I still don't like Phantom Menace.
Yeah, the CGI of the prequels.
I still don't like Phantom Menace very much. Like I went back and I've watched it twice now. Like 3 weeks.
Here's the thing: is Phantom Menace good? No, I think it is. I don't want to say it's my least favorite of the prequels because, like, for me, it really depends on the day if I like Attack of the Clones or Phantom Menace.
It also depends on like. Sure. What thing I'm ranking it by.
Yeah, it also depends on what I'm insane about at the about, because sometimes I'm insane about different things in Star Wars. Yeah,
what I'm insane about Qui-Gon Jinn.
But here's and I said this last episode too, Phantom Menace is too long. It has too much shit going on. They had to cram so much stuff in there all at once.
And
they picked the wrong things. They picked the wrong things to focus on.
The politics are weird.
Yes. And we don't find out the parts of the politics. The racism is so uncomfortably present. Fuck. But they don't pick the right parts of the politics for us to learn about. Which is frustrating. That was the one that watching it with Isabel, Maddie and I paused the most. We would literally get like 2 more sentences, quite literally 2 sentences, and we'd be like, okay, wait, no, we need to pause and talk for another 10 minutes about
we got 30 seconds into the movie and we were like, here's what's happening here. Because it is not clear what is happening.
No.
In the opening crawl, you're like, there's a trade blockade? Why do I care about that? I want to watch Star Wars. And it's like, no, there's a trade blockade. You've never heard of Naboo before. Doesn't matter.
And then
Qui-Gon Jinn, who knows?
And they're just like,
who knows?
Exposition. And they're just
British accents.
Like, talking in exposition British accents. And you're like, I'm going insane.
What is happening?
What is happening?
I have an unfortunate soft spot for Phantom Menace because it was the thing that made me love Star Wars. I saw it in theaters when it came out when I was, I think, 8 years old. And then that, like, my parents were like, okay, if you were old enough to watch that, you can watch the originals. And I was like, oh my God, this is like that thing I just watched, but good. And then I was in love with Star Wars. But I still, like, I mean, I'm joking because at the time I loved them relatively equally, right? Like, it was all Star Wars. It was all Star Wars. And I love Padme Amidala, she's my wife, and I love Obi-Wan Kenobi, he's my husband, and Anakin's my poor little broken fascist meow meow. But where am I going with this? He's
the originals also don't have pod racing, and I fucking love pod racing.
I do love pod racing. Maddie, it's time for Maddie to yell about how we need a Fast and the Furious Star Wars series because I want it.
Hello.
But yeah, so I have this soft spot for Phantom Menace, but it is objectively like just really poorly paced, introduces a lot of weird stuff. I don't think that they should have done later. No, they should not. The 2 things that are most egregious to me are introducing the slavery aspect of Tatooine culture and then really never doing anything about it. And particularly establishing like, oh, don't the Jedi take care of stuff like this? Well, we don't have time because they're forcing us to fight a war, so bye.
Not in the Outer Rim.
Qui-Gon is literally like, he literally says, I didn't come here to free slaves.
I didn't come here to free slaves. It's
Qui-Gon,
bad.
Why not?
Well, Qui-Gon, what did you come here for?
To do it.
So that, and then also the story of the Gungans who are there's this uncomfortable colonialist thing, and in the like expanded universe quote unquote canon, like is it really canon if it's not in the movies? It's established that like they were on the planet first, but that the humanoid Naboo, when they settled it, did not drive them from their lands in particular, because the Gungans primarily stick to the swamplands and the underwater, but there's been this tension. But to introduce that and then never delve into any of that on screen and just have Jar Jar as this uncomfortable Schrodinger's racist voice choices that Ahmed Best goes back and forth on like twice a year about whether he felt it was racist to have him do it or not, which is it's so fair of him to struggle with. Sorry, I'm not so fair to struggle with.
Not his fault at all.
No,
that is a direction thing.
Yeah, but yeah, it was, and it uses up so much time that could be spent on other things in that film.
Unlike things that are way more important. Yeah, it introduces way too much, and then, like, it's one of those things where he's like, I gotta do all this world building about, like, the Jedi, the Republic, all this stuff pre-Empire, but, like, never really committed to a lot of it. No. But all that being said, it's got pod racing, and I fucking love pod racing.
It's got pod racing! No, that's what I call pod racing!
I feel like the same way it's tricky. About Darth Maul.
And it's got Darth Maul. And it's got Darth Maul, who's like
that's so fair.
Cool. Darth Maul is not in this movie enough. I feel like he should have been in it more. Like, he really should have been utilized as a villain more. Because, like, every single time...
Helena, get stoked about the... Get stoked about the animated Clone Wars and Rebels shows.
It's so fucking funny that... Every time I watch Solo,
you're going to,
every time I watch Solo, I forget that he shows up, and I get maybe 2 minutes away from him showing up, and I'm like, oh shit.
Literally, this happened in person when we were watching it with my sister. It was like 2 minutes, and Matty literally on the couch was like, oh fuck, and I was like, I know what just occurred to your brain.
Yeah, but also it's very funny that he gets cut in fucking half, and the canon is that he is in that garbage dump under... There's a garbage dump under there, by the way. He's cut in half, he's in that garbage dump for a long time, like way longer than he should have in order for him to live, and then eventually gets dragged out and gets robot legs and becomes a gang leader? Eventually. It's just like... But they were like, we cannot let this man die in, like, the pits of the EU. We have to bring him in to do other stuff because he's too cool. But it's a bummer that they couldn't let him do that in that movie. It's just something that, like, they bring him in for like, 5 minutes, and he's such a cool character. And they were like, I guess so cool. He lived somehow.
Yeah.
And he has a brother. Actually, he has 2 brothers.
He does.
Anyway.
One of whom is
Savage
voiced by
Opress.
Clancy Brown.
Yep.
Yeah, Clancy Brown voices the iconic Zabrak character, Savage Opress, which is just spelled Savage Oppress.
Perfect
with 1 P
casting.
instead of 2. Yeah.
I didn't catch that because I have never
that changes
seen
the meaning.
Clone Wars, the show, and so I didn't
I
understand that. I saw that in Solo, and I was like, what is happening right now?
I think that was a lot of people's reaction, which is the problem.
I remember thinking that as Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's just like a weird thing to put into the Han Solo movie.
Yeah. I went to go see that movie, I think, with my dad. And I have seen some of Clone Wars, and he just started watching it recently. So by that time, he had not watched any of Clone Wars. And Darth Maul showed up, and I was like, that's weird. My dad was like, he's alive? And I was like, oh, yes, you would not know that if you had not seen any of the children's animated TV show.
Right.
Clone Wars.
I went with someone who was like, oh cool, there's like a crime boss who's the same species as Darth Maul. Why does he also have a lightsaber? And I was like, no, that is Darth Maul. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry to be the one to break this to you.
Star Wars is
That's
so
just Darth Maul.
Stupid.
Anything that gives Peter Serafinowicz more work, I am glad to see it.
I don't think that's him doing it anymore, though.
In Solo?
I think it's somebody else.
Well, what's the
think
point?
It's him. Yeah, I think he just does it for Phantom Menace, and they got somebody else for Clone Wars and for Solo.
Oh, we should. And
in the show, he's voiced by somebody cool.
Video games.
And I'm trying to remember. It's the guy that I always think is on Ted Lasso, but is not.
But it's not. Yeah, anyway, so Phantom Menace is just kind of a mess. Once again, like, there's things I'm very fond of it. There's things I really like about it. But also, when I started my Star Wars rewatch last year, I got to Phantom Menace and was like, I don't want to do this, and put it off for a fucking year because I didn't want to watch Phantom Menace again. And then I watched it twice this summer, so, you know.
Wow.
And then Attack of the Clones, once again, is also kind of a mess, but in a different way. As you said last episode, Helena, I don't think it's bad as everyone gives it flack for. But, like...
I've seen worse.
It has its moments, huh?
It does indeed have its moments. You know, it's just like... The way that I'm thinking about it is I'm just like... When I was young, and when we were in high school, and I think I may have mentioned this last time, like, when we were in high school, the received wisdom was generally that the prequels suck. And this was, you know, when we were in high school, this would have been, like... you know, 5 or so
less than 10 years after
the Sith,
yeah.
Around
that.
I remember getting into a big argument with somebody in our class because he thought, I think he thought Revenge of the Sith was the worst one. And I think he thought The Phantom Menace was the best. And I'm like, you're the stupidest person in the world.
I cannot abide by this.
I also thought that, like, Attack of the Clones was really bad. But, like...
Yeah, Attack of the Clones was the least favorite of mine for a while. I thought that one was the worst for a long time. And now I'm like... I don't think it's as bad. Yeah. I think Phantom Menace might be a worse movie.
I think that
for
the
a long
person
time
that I was in high school, I was less mature than I am now. You wouldn't know that by the things that I've said in this episode, but, like, I'm generally a more mature, more well-rounded person. My taste in film has been
because we're double our age has doubled since then.
Yeah, we're double our ages and everything. Like, I've seen more things, so I have different opinions about certain movies than I did back when I was literally 16 or 17. Shocker. So I'm just saying that, like, the more mature person I am now likes Attack of the Clones, and the immature person that I was when I was in high school, mature for my age-ish, but not really, didn't like Attack of the Clones. So what's really the, you know...
What's the truth
What's the truth here?
What's the correct opinion?
Madeline, what were you going to say?
Same hat. Oh, I was just going to say, for me, I had such a emotional attachment to Phantom Menace for a long time, even without thinking it was good, that the consideration for me was always, it was less, like, Phantom Menace was just sort of its own class, where it was like, it's bad, but I love it.
Yeah. Very fair.
But it's bad. And so the question was always, which is worse, Attack of the Clones or Revenge of the Sith? And for a long time, I would have said Revenge of the Sith, specifically because I think that Attack of the Clones is... trying to find the right way to phrase this. Revenge of the Sith is trying to be a big sweeping tragedy, right? So it hurts me more when the tone doesn't match it, if that makes sense. Like, it's trying to live up to something that it doesn't quite land. In some ways, I still feel that way, but I think that as I've gotten older and reading that novelization, honestly, and just and watching the Clone Wars show, and buying in more to the story they were trying to tell, I think I still would say that that's my opinion about the actual execution of it, but that in the broader, like, the story they were trying to tell sense, I think that Revenge of the Sith is much better and stronger than Attack of the Clones.
I'd be interested to revisit it, because Revenge of the Sith was always my favorite, partly because of the prequels, partly because it's the one that I've seen the most, because it was on TV literally all the time. And so I watched it
Ewan McGregor's best haircut from the prequels.
No question.
And Hayden Christensen's,
and Hayden Christensen,
Christopher Lee.
Padme's best hair, I think, is actually in Attack of the Clones. It's when she comes out in the nightgown.
Yes.
Specifically, the Naboo nightgown, not the Coruscant nightgown. Also good, but the Naboo nightgown hair, oh my god.
Differentiating between the nightgowns, I love you.
Well, I mean, they're different nightgowns.
Okay,
they're different nightgowns.
I would not know this.
And her hair is different.
Okay.
Helena, grow up.
Christopher Lee.
I have a shirt that has all of Padme's outfits on it. I'm sorry, what were you going to say about Christopher Lee?
So you're definitely gay. I don't know if you know this.
Yeah, no shit, stupid.
Christopher Lee, who's I think one of the best parts, if not the best part of Attack of the Clones, also gets to be in Revenge of the Sith, which is nice. Which is
great for like 10 minutes before he fucking dies.
Before he fucking gets wrecked. Ian McDiarmid definitely gets to do the most in this one. He's barely in Attack of the Clones, which I forgot about.
Yeah.
I can't get over how luscious and flowy his hair is in Phantom Menace. It makes me insane. I'm like,
it's wild.
Who is this man? Where did he get his Rogaine?
This man.
Crazy. But and doesn't have as much Jar Jar, which I also like.
Which we love to see.
I don't like him.
Woofda.
Does he only show up in 3 during the funeral at the end?
No, I think he shows up specifically to
there is a Senate thing, I think.
Yeah. It is. There is a Senate thing. Yeah. Sorry, I had to have a moment. Is that what you were going to say,
Maddie? Sorry.
Yeah, I was trying to remember specifically which scene is the, like, we should give you, like, unlimited powers, basically. I think that... Is
that at the end of Attack of the Clones?
I'm trying to remember if that's Attack of the Clones.
Or is it... like, we should have a proper army. That's where he's, like, filling...
Yeah, and it's because he...
Or boys, whatever.
Yes, it's in Attack of the Clones because it's where Palpatine convinces him that Padme would want him to vote to give him emergency chancellor powers. I couldn't remember if that was end of Attack of the Clones
or early Revenge of the Sith.
Jar Jar Binks.
I know.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Skip the episodes of Clone Wars that are about him. It's not worth it.
No.
Why? Bring him in. Anyway.
Bombad Jedi is not a good episode, for example.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, I feel like, for me, Revenge of the Sith is, like... Madeline, I remember when we initially met you, one of the, like... Because I met you and we were like, oh, we both like Dragon Age and we're insane. Great. Besties.
Yeah, cool.
But it came up pretty early, too. You were like, I don't like Revenge of the Sith. And I was like, ooh, this friendship might have to die where it stands.
Right. Can we be friends?
Can we make it through this?
You won me over.
And thank God we did.
You won me over.
And I, like, understood also your critiques as well. You were like, I don't like what they did with Padme. And I was like, that is a really fair critique. I also don't like what they did with Padme. I think she got boned.
A little bit, because I don't know, like, I don't know as much or am as even though I love her, she's my wife, I'm not as invested as the character, like, what her characters are.
I'm obsessed with her.
I was going to say, this is Padme.
So I know you talked about this before.
This is Padme.
Like, like, her end in particular, like, her death in particular, but, like, what specifically about the way that her character is treated in Revenge of the Sith that, like, drives you insane?
She gets, as soon as I think this happens some in Attack of the Clones too, but at least in Attack of the Clones they give her a gun about it. It's as soon as she and Anakin get together, she goes from being first a queen, an elected queen, and then a senator, which there's so much interesting backstory, and again, I'm gonna shout out these YA books. I think they're brilliant. They talk a lot about, like, why the Naboo elect that way, and the fact that she's one of the youngest elected queens they have, but that there is a history of them being quite young, and that there's also these other political figures. Anyway, goes on to become a senator. She goes from being this very powerful figure, this force for good, this, like, incredibly moral, and I think a very interesting foil to the Jedi, who are also trying to, like, she, like the Jedi, is trying to do good. She is trying to do it within the confines of this existing political system, and the Jedi are trying to do it within the confines of how they are interpreting their moral code, their monastic code, really. So she goes from being this interesting foil for that. As soon as she and Anakin get together, she is downgraded to wife, is her character. And then as soon as she gets pregnant, she is incubator, is her character. They cut almost all of the scenes from Revenge of the Sith in which she is working on political stuff. There's a very important extended scene where she meets with Bail and Mon Mothma and sets some of the ground that's going to become the rebellion. If she had lived, she would have been one of the strongest rebellion leaders, without a doubt. And honestly, she was such a political, like, beloved political figurehead. I don't know that it would have been as easy for the Empire to take control as quickly as they did with someone like her speaking out against them. She was dangerous.
Especially for the senator for Naboo, which is where Palpatine is from.
Yeah. That's a whole plot.
Right. And and the fact that especially that then she goes to see Anakin, and, like, boy, do I understand the heartbreak of, like, I thought I knew this person. Did I know this person? Did they change? What happened here? Like, this tragic story to it. But that she just goes to find him and is so desperate to believe that she's wrong, and then just kind of gives up and dies about it, I think is not the same person who,
it's
like,
also kind of lazy.
Went on this it's lazy writing. She's not the same person who went on this crazy adventure in Phantom Menace to free her people and spoke up in the Senate or even Attack of the Clones, yeah.
Was in that fucking Coliseum and, like, climbed to the top and, like, fought a cat.
Absolutely.
Like,
Absolutely. And I feel very strongly about the original storyboarded scene in which Mustafar and the last interaction plays out a lot of the same way, but she came with a knife, and when she determines that he's sticking with this, she's like, the man I loved is dead, and you are a monster, and you need to die, and tries to kill him, and that's when he chokes her.
Yeah.
And I feel very strongly that that is what should have been filmed.
Yeah, I agree. I have read some interpretations that, like, what happens is that not that she gets so sad that she fucking dies, which is, like...
Yeah.
Fucking jack-off motion. Like, that's such a shitty, stupid end for any character, but
that's
especially
like people
for Padme.
who don't understand how women die in childbirth.
Yeah, it's so bad. It's such a bad piece of writing. Yeah, and I'm still
lazy.
So baffled that it got stuck in. But I've read some interpretations that when Anakin, like, chokes her, he also manages to cut off her connection from, like, the Force, which is what kills her. And the bots who don't understand the Force are just like, I don't know why she's dying. She just died. We don't, because they don't have any way to, like, track that kind of thing. And I'm like, that is the only way I have to pretend that that's what happened, because otherwise this doesn't make any fucking sense. But it really is, like, it just sucks. It just sucks.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating.
Like, to have this, it's this character that I latched onto so much as a preteen and teenager, of this, like, cool and powerful and smart, like this young woman who was, like, beautiful and elegant, right? Like, you know, you want to date her or you want to be her, right? I want those outfits. Both. But who was also allowed to be smart and savvy and was powerful in the political scene, and then to have this downward trajectory from objectively the worst prequel, Phantom Menace, the fact that she has the most character in that.
I would almost prefer
that,
like, and I know this wouldn't have really completed the movie in the way that was like, gave it a nice little bow at the end, but I almost prefer too if she didn't die in the way that it was originally storyboarded, but that she had lived and they had given information or faked her death in some way, and then I guess, you know, the only other option, I guess, is that doesn't, like, make it very neat, is that she, you know, joins the rebellion and dies at some point.
How do they
sending the children to
how do they explain her death? How do they explain that she's not New Hope or whatever?
Exactly.
I think that works, actually, H, and I have there are, I think, two pieces of lazy writing that are a reason that this would have worked, and it's upsetting that they actually did not do that. Not that I think it would have been necessary, but a way that I think it would have been supported. When Leia is talking to Luke on Andor, and he says, "What do you remember of your mother, your real mother?" he specifies, which is, like, let's not get into anti-adoption propaganda and that bullshit right now, but he's clearly talking about her birth mother. And she says, she died when I was very young. She was beautiful but very sad, something to that effect, which, like, Leia's Force sense is established to be very much about, like, reading people and impressions, so you can make a case that she imprinted on her in the 30 seconds that their lives overlapped, or has had, like, Force dreams about her as a child or something, whatever. But I think that with that single piece of writing, you can make a case that Padme was alive and on Alderaan at some point. Like, you could have written a prequel that way. And I think it's kind of lazy to have established that Padme's whole fucking thing is about decoys, and then not try to do a body swap at the end.
They do that in Attack of the Clones,
Sabé and
too.
the other
part of the
handmaids.
thing is, she avoids dying in Attack of the Clones with a decoy.
In the opening.
It's just sad. It's just sad. So there's the PowerPoint about why the Padme stuff is frustrating, and why when you were like, I don't like Revenge of the Sith.
And all the decoy stuff is so cool.
Yeah, I love that shit. Why you're like, I don't like Revenge of the Sith because of how they treated Padme. I was like, yep, totally get it.
Like, okay, wait, we can still be friends, and I'll convince you to... You're sitting there like, I'll convince you to read the novelization because your reasons are valid, you can stick around. And then I did, and then it was good.
Yeah, and, like, there's so many different Star Wars novels. Sorry, I just had this moment of, like, we're really about to get into it because I'm about to start talking about the Star Wars novels. There's so many different Star Wars novels about the prequels where they just... There's so many people who, for some reason, it's like, do you know how to write a woman? Like, it's not hard.
Mm-hmm. that is very often.
But the Clone Wars show... does a really good job. That show made me come around on Anakin and Padme's relationship entirely, because they spend so much time exploring like why they love each other in a way that isn't corny teenager bullshit, and like why their relationship work, and it makes Revenge of the Sith even sadder to see like that part falling apart, and the Anakin and Obi-Wan stuff, and the war, and like blah blah blah, whatever.
I love Anakin.
I completely agree.
Character. He's such a piece of shit.
Yeah.
I love him. I was like, I really.
There's so much like people being like, if you like Anakin Skywalker, you're evil, and I'm like, okay, first of all, I know, but second of all, like, I he's like, I don't know. I think he's just he's my Blorbo, first of all. But it's more complicated than that, I think.
He is a young man. When he's a young man, he has spent 10 years being groomed by this incredibly powerful person, this incredibly powerful silver-tongued person who has set him up for all of these failures. And when it comes to the tipping point, he makes one wrong choice and then proceeds to immediately... oh shoot, what's that called? Where you're like, well, I'm already this invested, I can't back out now.
Yeah, the sunk cost fallacy. I've spent too much time
he makes one terrible choice and then immediately sunk cost fallacies and is like, well, I'm in it now.
That's it.
Like,
it's
and I think it's this mental gymnastics of I've made these horrible choices, and he goes off, he kills the children, right? And it's like, okay, in order to live with anything that I've done, I have to believe that Palpatine's vision for the galaxy is good and just, and that anything now, any means justifies the ends.
Yeah.
Like, I have to believe that. It doesn't excuse anything, it's fucking monstrous, but it's interesting.
Wrong.
To be clear,
he's
but it's
an
interesting character. It is an effective tragedy to me.
It's tragic.
It gets me a little bit.
He's like a Hamlet.
Yeah, I think I said to you guys,
if Hamlet did some genocide.
If Hamlet did some, well, yeah.
Genocide.
Obviously.
Yeah, you had the exact same journey as me where I was like, does mass murder...
Yeah, but like...
not genocide.
The thing that I said to you guys was like, the reason that like that storyline, his character arc makes me so emotional is like exactly what you said, Madeline, is he's a guy who just like continually makes the wrong decisions until the last opportunity that he has, he makes the right decision and he dies for it. And it's the right thing when he, of course, in Return of the Jedi,
and it's the right thing to do, and it's...
Yeah, Matty.
At the end,
that's different than the like death and redemption and death thing, right? Like there is this nuance of I'm going to make this one right choice even though it will kill me, and it's not that it wipes out my ledger, it's that it's the right thing to do and I care about that for once.
There's the point at the end of Return of the Jedi where Luke says like I think he says literally I have to save you. And Anakin says you already have, and like every
I'm gonna
time,
cry about
just
it.
like I weep, like I just weep.
Yeah,
fuck, shit, like what the fuck?
Yeah,
that's his son.
That's his.
I just rewatched
that.
That's his son.
Oh my god.
And when he says "tell your sister you were right," like he doesn't say like "tell your sister I did something good." He doesn't say like "tell your sister I saved the day." He says "tell your sister you were right," because it's important that she know that like Luke's faith wasn't misplaced and there was this kernel of good in him despite all of the bad, and that it's about Luke, not about Anakin. This message is coming back.
And it's built up with it always gets to me so much every time I rewatch the original movies. Like any scene, especially in like Empire Strikes Back, when Palpatine is like, "Oh, we think that kid is the son of Anakin Skywalker," and he's like blinks rapidly like behind his back, like cool. Like you can see, and I mean, and obviously the big original twist that is no longer a twist at the end of Empire, where he doesn't have to do that. Like he's been instructed by literally nobody, as far as we know, to make that decision, to tell Luke, say, like I'm your dad, and join me. Like, obviously, it's bad because, like, you know, he's a fucking bad guy. But
he cuts his hand
off. But it's like, I'm like, look, like he's like, I don't want to. I don't want to
hurt you.
Kill you. Like, I think that, like, you're my son.
Other than cutting your hand off.
Like, we
but he doesn't necessarily want to do that. He's like,
and Vader is like 70% prosthetics, and he's like, I got a good guy.
Yeah, he's like, no, listen,
don't worry about
it. Twinsies. Like, yeah, and it's like
twinning.
You know, he doesn't have to do that. I think that's fascinating.
No,
and then you see that whole thing behind like that. Oh my god, I love him. Anyway,
I got really emotional about Anakin and Vader again, because there is also something about him talking about himself in the third person, and him telling Obi-Wan in the Obi-Wan show, I killed Anakin Skywalker, right?
That wasn't, you did not kill Anakin Skywalker.
Skywalker, I did. Fascinating.
Yeah.
Because he has to divorce himself from who that person was. Yeah. It's great. But I was rewatching recently some of She-Ra and the Princesses of Power. Absolutely brilliant. So sapphic. And Catra is a character who is like evil for the vast majority of the show for various incredible and complex reasons. And there's a scene in the last season where she's kind of coming up to this big decision to like who she's going to side with, and Glimmer, the princess queen at that point, is like, just do one right thing for once in your life. Do one right thing. And that's the thing that gets through to her. And that's such an Anakin, right? Like, I had a good conversation with somebody recently, too, about that's why Severus Snape does not work as a character, because Her Majesty the Transphobe was trying to write a cheap Anakin Skywalker ripoff and does not land it.
Yeah. No one ever
it's not an earned journey.
Yeah. No one has yet. That's not fair. I'm sure there are people who have. But anytime someone tries to do a Vader, there's always that piece that's missing, which is the understanding that, like, you like he's cool and bitchin', right? Because he is. He's cool and bitchin'.
Because he is. He's bitchin'.
Like, he's a fucking great villain. He rocks.
Terrifying. He's an eldritch beast.
Yeah, fuck severely. But the thing is that he's also a figure of tragedy, and there's this like the like kernel of like somebody who like once was good and like just fell. Yeah. And like doesn't want to be evil. Like Palpatine wants to be evil. That bitch loves being evil. She loves it. Fucking num num num, eat it all up.
Delicious.
Vader doesn't want to be evil.
No,
he just wants he just wants like fucking anything from anybody.
He wants to follow a leader who he thinks will make the world a better place because he's experienced the most broken parts of the world. And with Palpatine, he justifies the way that he does it and then gets power hungry because of it. But he's never trying to be the leader. Like, no. Which is so interesting to me about him. And there's also something about the nuance between, it's not that he is being controlled, but that he has been preyed upon and... I don't know. It's not, like the tragedy behind that.
I have two thoughts now, too. Part of the reason why I think that, like, you mentioned, like, how much of a, like, eldritch beast he is, Madeline, and how, scary he is. I think that also works really well in those movies, in, like, the original trilogy, because there's nothing there. There's nothing to latch onto. There's no face. You can project anything onto it, which means that you can project anything terrifying onto it, or also in those moments where you're like, what's he thinking? You know, like, what's going on behind that? Like, you can project anything onto it, and I think that works really well in really emotional moments as well, like in Return of the Jedi. Yeah. But also, the thing about Anakin, too, is, like, he's taken from his home. He's taken away from his mother, and when he's, like, a baby. And before that, a baby. He's, like, 10, right? Or 9.
9.
No. Yeah.
He's 9.
He's 9.
But he's, like, which is a baby to me. Like,
so old for an initiate. Wow. Holy fuck.
Yeah. Too old to be...
Most of them are
They
babies.
usually show up as toddlers and babies,
right? Which is still fucked up. But, like, he's taken away from his home. This is Star Wars deep lore. That he's had, and is taken away from his mother, and has brought into this entirely new life where he also is like the one thing that he had that like made that life work for him was this affection and love that he had from his mother, and now it's like he's put into an environment where they're like, no, we can't give you that, and he still gets that from Obi-Wan, like, because they're fucking stupid and married, right? But like,
God, we could do a whole episode on the Jedi Code and the way that it's changed over the centuries and the ways that it's interpreted, and like they're not emotionless and yada yada. But but also something about, I think that's such a good point, Helena, and something specifically about being taken away from slavery, which is all about needing to know these, not all about, but one of the important things is needing to know these particular ins and outs and rules to survive. right? And having to call someone master and being put into a new situation where he is still expected to call people master, which
it's
fucked up that they never talk about that. And he's put in a situation where he does not know what any of the rules are. It's a completely new societal paradigm, and he's older than, like, they specifically say, like, we're not going to put him in the creche, we're not going to put him in classes, he's just going to become a Padawan. So he never has the socialization of learning how this world works as a child.
And it shows. Like, Hayden Christensen it's a goofy performance sometimes. Like, the writing is goofy, but like no wonder he's he's very emotional, like, all over the place, you know.
He's
and it's
weird and emotionally stunted and like, dude.
Yeah. What not about his life would have given you that indication that could somehow happen? Like, you meet in Phantom Menace, it's like he's a pretty normal kid, actually, and they are saying much anger he has, you know, but whatever. Like, you don't see that necessarily.
Yeah, plenty of kids
get
are
mad.
angry.
Kids have big emotions. Calm the fuck down. He was a slave, and you took him away from his mother.
Yeah.
And you didn't free him.
Of course he's trying to...
You're just like, hey, you're a Jedi now. And it's like, cool.
Like,
you don't get a choice.
And then, like, gave him to the guy who's, like, all mad fucked up because his dad just died, and, like, he doesn't know how to deal with that. And, like, technically, he shouldn't even be a fucking Jedi Master yet, but he has, once again, he has dad issues, and he's, like, literally the last thing
his dad
my dad said was,
take care of your
take
baby
care
brother.
of this kid, instead of being like, hi, Obi-Wan, I love you, you're my kid,
I love you and I'm proud of you.
Anyway, this is a whole other episode where I go insane about Qui-Gon Jinn, but that's separate.
Qui-Gon Jinn is the Bruce Wayne Batman of the Star Wars universe, in that it is Schrodinger's box at any given point, whether he is the best dad or the worst dad.
Look, I love Bruce Wayne. I don't think I've ever actually said that on this podcast, but I love Bruce Wayne.
I love Bruce Wayne. Like, I do too.
And I love Qui-Gon Jinn, but like, dude, what the fuck?
They make some choices, and depending on the lens through which you look at those choices, it could be really bad.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I mean, Bruce Wayne.
Look.
We could do an entire episode 2 about Bruce Wayne. Motherfucking Bruce Wayne.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God, I have so many problems, and they're all related to these men.
Fucking
anyway, so... Star Wars?
What's the conclusive?
We have to wrap it up this episode, because this could be forever. This could be...
We could just keep going.
The rest
forever.
of Sneople is just Star Wars.
It's just like this. No,
I think my conclusion is
just like
I think my conclusion is that the Star Wars universe is so deliciously wide and vast, and I'm really excited that some of the media that's coming out is delving into aspects of it other than the Skywalker saga.
Me too.
And I'm really thrilled to see what else happens with that.
Yeah.
Other like genres on top of it, right? Like the Western aspect of Mando, or this kind of spy aspect of Andor.
And the heist aspect.
I'm excited to see the different parts. There was this fucking Tumblr post that went around the other day that was like, I cannot believe you guys are making up these things about Star Wars, and it was like Big Starklighter and Tatooine, and I was like, that's entry-level Star Wars. I need you to understand Star Wars is like huge. There's so much Star Wars deep lore, and I know so much of it in my brain, and I'm really excited that they're starting to like kind of pick that open a little bit, because I think there's so many like cool and interesting like pieces of Star Wars that have yet to be explored, and I agree. Madeline, long and short, is I'm really excited to see it. And there's so many like interesting Star Wars books coming out right now too that like I'm really having fun with. Star Wars is a brain rot, and I got
Order game.
Yeah, Fallen Order.
I have Star Wars disease.
Yeah. Please, Coda remake. Please have it come out. I'm dying.
Coda remake, please. God, please live. Please let me still customize my character, and don't canonize all the stuff that they canonized for the Old Republic online game, which is fine. But the point of KOTOR was that it was flexible, and like don't
also let
force
me be
me
gay
to play
this
through
time.
a canonized.
Let me be gay this time. I swear to fucking God.
Matty leaning forward into the mic there. Thank you.
It's driving me insane. I will mod that game as many times as it will let me, but still just let me be fucking gay. I cannot deal with this.
Christ.
Anyway, Helena, what are your Star Wars final thoughts?
My concluding thought is that I'm really excited for more Andor. I'm really excited to watch Revenge of the Sith. I also, my other concluding thought is that I love to balance this out with a little bit of Star Trek. It was fun because I like watched a lot, like I ate a lot of Star Wars, num num num, in my belly, and then didn't watch Star Trek for a little while.
Tasty, yeah.
And then I was like, God, what's
Drank
that
a lot of
like?
blue milk.
And then I watched an episode of Deep Space Nine, which is like the most, like, the heaviest
Queen
diet.
of Star Trek, yeah.
And I was like, oh man, it feels good to be back home. And I cried again.
I'm home.
I cried again in an episode of Deep Space Nine. I've seen
Chewie,
it
we're
so
home!
many times. Because, you know, how that works. So I guess my concluding thought is space rules.
Space is pretty cool.
Space
yeah,
is
I'm pretty
really
into the
cool.
space stuff.
And people should always
Space?
set their
Good.
stories there. That's my
Yeah.
thought.
I love of space media.
And if you haven't
Tasty,
revisited
tasty.
the
Me too.
prequels, I recommend doing it. I guess that's what my concluding
Yeah.
thought
Yeah.
is. Even if you're
We should do
and-
like a
fucking
blank check style,
commentary.
or like, I guess podcast style anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
Where we all sit and we watch Phantom Menace and do a fucking commentary. We'd do that for the Patreon.
God,
That'd
yeah.
be
Fucking
fun.
hell.
Both as like an
Or Revenge of the
interesting
Sith, or
factoids
one of
thing,
the prequels,
and
I don't
like
know.
I would love to do
All
a
of them.
Phantom Menace one, like what we did for Isabel,
Yeah.
Matty, where we were like, this is the background politics that you really should know that they should have told you.
So,
Yeah.
This will make this
So,
movie make sense.
we did do...
Madeline and Matty explain it all for you.
What was that?
Oh my god, we should have a show.
What
I can't
movie
do
were we
another
watching
podcast,
where
I'll
Ezra and you and I were watching one of the movies and we recorded a commentary on? The one where you made fun of me for commenting on C-3PO's, like, dump truck ass.
Ah,
No,
delicious.
that was when we were doing our Star Wars marathon.
It was pre-Madeline.
This was a pre-Madeline day, and you just recorded some of our talking, and there was a point where you were like, why does C-3PO have such a big ass? And I was like, are you saying that Anakin fucks robots? You told me that Anakin fucks robots? And I just would not let up. I just waited on you.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Anakin
so yeah, we
Skywalker,
can
my
revisit
favorite
that.
figure,
Do you want
fucks
to do that again?
robots.
Yeah. You told me
Yeah.
that Anakin
Hell
Skywalker
yeah.
fucks robots? You told me
Your
he's a robot
delivery
fucker?
is seared. I have no idea where that recording is, but your delivery of Anakin Skywalker, Darth Vader fucks robots, is seared into my brain forever.
I'm sure it's on an old computer.
My favorite
or something.
part... my favorite part of watching Star Wars with someone you haven't seen it with before, whether they've seen it before or not, is figuring out which aspects they latch onto, because there's so many good and different interesting bits.
Yeah.
And I hope Isabel won't mind me saying she was absolutely fascinated by the relationship between R2-D2 and C-3PO, because, like, they're husbands. They're
Yeah,
just
I mean,
a couple
they
of
are.
old queens.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
They
That's
don't
just a
even like
fact.
each other in the prequels, and there's still that moment where, like, they're on the battlefield at the end of the movie, and he's, like, and
Yes!
he's, like, going over there and, like, fixing him. I'm like,
fixing his head.
Oh,
R2, where are you?
girl, I see. Enemies to lovers is how
Yeah.
it
You're
is.
gonna get married
Yeah.
someday.
Yeah.
Gay marriage.
They
Love
get
wins.
married at
Gay
the
marriage.
when Padme and Anakin get married. They're also getting married. I don't know. If
It's
you
a
guys
dual.
knew
It's a
that.
double marriage.
It's
Yeah.
a double wedding.
Fuck 'em.
It's perfect because they can be each other's witnesses.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I saw those two robots get married for sure.
Yeah.
Rough. Anyway,
Congratulations. All right.
should I take us
Good
out of
episode,
this-
everybody.
Well, thank you.
Clap, clap. Yeah, get us out of here.
Thank you so much for joining us, Madeline.
Yes.
Thank you
as
so
always.
much for having me
Oh,
and
yeah,
letting
Madeline,
me
do you
yell
wanna-
about a galaxy far, far away.
Do you have anything you want to plug? Anything you want to? I don't know.
Sometimes I guest on my friend Ross's podcast, Smells Like Humans, which is a very fun, just like slice of life. Let's talk about a thing that a lot of humans do and what's that like sort of show. So that's a blast. I'm technically on Twitter at Madeline Just Say, but I'm never on there. So
You have a Twitter
fun with
account.
some
Yeah.
very old tweets. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but yeah, thank you for having me and letting me yell about Star Wars with you. It was an absolute delight.
Yeah.
course.
Always. Clearly, we have to do another Star Wars episode sometime
Obviously,
soon.
because we
Probably
haven't
with
even
Ezra.
scratched
Down
the
anytime.
surface, really.
Yeah, and we'll do commentary at some point.
Oh my god, it's gonna be so fun.
Yes.
So much fun.
But in the meantime, thanks for hanging out with us here on Sneople at the Movies from the Infinity Break Network. Check out infinitybreak.net for more awesome content, and come hit us up on Twitter at people_snake, or shoot us an email at sneopleatthemovies@gmail.com. Our amazing music was done by Johnny Ronaldo, who you can find at Johnny Ronaldo on Twitter. Our super snazzy logo, I have to go slow now every single time I say it, was designed by Bethany Luthol. Check her out at bethanyluthol.wixsite.com. If you got a subject you want to hear us talk about, a movie you think we absolutely need to see, or you just want to politely argue about Star Wars, come say hello. Also, if you can, please leave a review on iTunes and share the show with any friends who you think would enjoy it. Any way that you can still spread the news helps us so much, and we would really appreciate it. And as always, thanks for listening, and we'll see you at the movies.
Han shot first.
Scream.